Hello everyone. I guess everyone is still at the lunch or like after lunch party, but we will start because we are pretty short on time. Firstly, I want to congratulate G2 and Luka. Some of you maybe watched, but G2 won IM Dallas this Sunday. So if I can ask for a quick round of applause for G2 and Luka.
Thank you.
Hello, Luka, once again. If I can ask you, please, to introduce yourself, tell me more about yourself, your education, and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Luka Škrinjarić. I'm here from Zagreb, born and raised, and I'm a sports psychologist. For the past 14 years, I've been working with mostly traditional athletes for like 10 years, and in the past 4 or 5 years, I have been working with esport athletes as well. And in the past almost a year, I have been contracted with G2 CS team. So yeah, that's me.
Great. Can we go back to beginnings? Where does the love for sport come from? Can you tell us more about it?
Well, it seems to me that when I graduated high school, I kind of knew that I want to be a psychologist, that I want to work with people, etc. But back then, I didn't know much about sports psychology, or that there even is like a area of psychology. And I thought that I'm going to be a clinical psychologist, and that I'm going to work with people with great discomfort and pretty serious stuff psychologically, ill, etc. But then again, I had the opportunity to go to our psychiatric hospital, Vrapče, or Jankovine was it? I know. It was far back, and I had the opportunity to go there for like a month to volunteer and to see what do those colleagues do. And after a month, I told to myself, okay, this is maybe too hardcore for you, and I just had to find a new population and a new area where I can work with people. And it seemed to me that being a sports psychologist, you always tend to work with young people, with people that want to improve, with people that want to be better, that want to improve their performance, be successful, etc. So it seemed to me really as an area that I would like to participate in. So that was kind of the beginning, and the basics were when on the fourth year of college, I started to work to volunteer with some of the athletes, and this is where the love of working with athletes started for me.
Nice. Can you tell us how did you get into esports from sports, and some beginnings of it?
Yeah. Actually, I found that as a really funny story because it was 2019, and I was on a conference. It's called ENISP conference in Trieste. And there was Ismail Pedraza. Maybe some of you guys know him. He's also a colleague of mine, and he works with the League of Legends team from G2. And he had a lecture about esport. And on this conference, it was me and my colleague Sanja. And we listened to Isma, what he was saying, and he was back then he was I think maybe in Misfits, or I don't know. It was 2019, and then I told to Sanja, okay, when we come back to Zagreb, you need to find everything about esport and what it is, how the scene is like in Croatia and Balkans. And she ended up with just a couple of results, so I wasn't that happy. But one of the results was Nikola Stolnik. And then I had a coffee with him, and after a couple of minutes he told me, yeah, this is really cool what you want to do, but I'm not the guy that you can sell your services, because I only work and organize B2B events and everything else. But then again, Nikola also told me, I know a guy, he's really crazy. His name is Antonio, and he has a team, and this team is called Crazy, and I'm gonna connect you with him, and he has a Counter-Strike team, and they're trying to do something on the major. And I was like, yeah, for sure, let's go. I believe that he texted Antonio immediately during our coffee, and Antonio's response was, as he is, like, yeah, hook me up with him, you know. And this was the beginning of me in esports. So yeah.
You say Crazy, but you work with FPX, Navi, Nation, G2, actually a lot of FPS rosters, and in many different organizations, some of them domestic, some of them like global, one of the biggest. What's the main difference between let's say domestic and global esports, like in working condition, approach with players and stuff like that? Can you share some experience on that?
I mean, definitely Crazy org was my first org that I collaborated with, and after that came all those organizations that you mentioned, also Extremum, like one Russian organization that isn't here anymore, I believe. I would say that, yeah, for sure there are differences between the orgs, of course, and it seems to me that maybe first time when I came to work with the big org was when I started working with Navi. I worked with the Navi Valorant team. I would say that FPX also is a big org, but I did not see that because I did not have that long collaboration with them, and they were kind of shitty upon other areas. But nevertheless, when I joined Navi and when I saw their level of organization, the discipline, when I saw their offices as well, what else they can provide to you, I said, okay, this is like another level from the orgs that I collaborated before. And I would say the G2 definitely is even a level up higher, you know. This is what my GM asked me as well, you know, what is the difference between us and Navi? Are we better? And I was like, yeah, it seems to me that we are, you know. So I would say that it's definitely funds. It's definitely the number of people working different things, because in smaller orgs, my experience is that you have one guy that works for 4 or 5 people, which is kind of normal because they have to they don't have those kind of finances, and they have to step up with certain things. But yeah, definitely it's like another level from tier 1 and tier 2, 3 organizations.
Yeah. How does like players approach to person like you? Like, for example, in low tier org, they're not used to something like that, and people, or like players that join big orgs actually work with some, let's say, performance coach or mental coach or someone like that. Like, did you have any negative experience from that one?
I wouldn't say so, to be honest. Like in any organization that I worked so far, and honestly, I had zero problem with that, or them, because I try to have like approach. Okay, I'm here to help. I'm not here to push certain things or something like that. I'm just here to help. I can give you an example, like for my first cooperation with Crazy CS roster, it was a tough times for them. I met the guys, let's say 2 weeks before Berlin Major in 2019. I came to Kingwin in Poland for their boot camp. And there were a lot of issues with the org and with the upcoming major, with their performance, their communication, cohesion, etc., etc. There was a lot of stuff. And for the first meeting, I told them, listen, guys, I'm not here to spy on you. I'm not here to be eyes and ears of your CEO or something like that. I'm just here to help. And if you allow me to help you, then it's going to be good. If not, if you're just gonna be closed and close-minded and not contributing to our joint work, then it's not gonna be good, you know. And it just seemed to me that after a couple of days we clicked, and they understood that I'm here to help and that I can influence them in a better direction. And then they said, okay, let's bring this guy as well to the major as well. On some other level, where like in Navi or FPX and G2, etc., I would say that on this top level where those organizations are, players are mostly familiar with working on mental preparation. And of course it helped to me, honestly, it helped that some of the guys that are now in G2, that I worked with them in during their times in crazy organization, so it helped as well. But yeah, I would say that on top level it is like a common knowledge, that an organization has performance coach, sports psychologist, mental coach, whatever you want to call it, and even a couple of other people like physical coach, so strength and conditioning coach, nutritionists, some have physiotherapists, etc.
Do you think like there is a necessity to have that people that are basically in those positions that need to have some background in gaming or like competitive gaming at all? Do you feel like it's necessary?
Well, I mean,
or a benefit maybe.
I think it's a benefit, definitely, but I don't think it's like a necessity. I can only say from my experience. So I cannot say that I have gaming experience or something like that, or even e-sport or something. But I used to play video games when I was in primary school, but not for a long time, But what was and what is my advantage, I would say, is that I have a lot of knowledge of working with traditional athletes in traditional sports, and I just try to be flexible about different things that are in esport, but try to take one thing from traditional sport and try to be flexible around it in esport, because definitely it is a different environment, and you have to look at it that way,
What are some problems that athletes and esports players have in common, like that they face? Any similarities? Maybe are there any differences?
Well, I would say here in Croatia, and I believe Balkans, we have a saying, I'm going to translate it to English. I hope everyone understands. We're all bloody under the skin, right? Svi smo krvavi ispod kože. And what I mean by that is that athlete is an athlete, right? And whether it's in traditional sport, whether it's in e-sport, motivation, focus, emotion control, confidence, stuff like that, it's all pretty much the same, right? And it's a different environment, definitely, and it's something that you need to be smart about how to change certain things, You can't switch everything 100% from traditional to esport. But I would say that a lot of those things, whatever you do that's competitive, you're gonna find similar things or similar problems or similar areas of interest. So yeah, for me, I would say maybe the biggest difference between traditional and esport athletes is that in traditional sport, there is a system, and there is decades, and for some sports even more than decades of a real systematic approach to making young people, young athletes better and growing them, right? So when you start playing football, maybe you start at the age of 6, 7, 10 years of age, right? And you have a coach, you have a SNC coach, strength and conditioning coach, you have practices, you have structure, everything else, right? And you just grow into the system, and the system is, of course, pushing out the best, right? And maybe those are going to be junior players, maybe then one day they're going to be senior players, first team, etc. And in esport, okay, there are academies now and everything, but there still isn't that kind of systematic approach of really pushing out the best. You have to go your own way, or I don't know, in CS it's like climbing up the ladder in Face It, etc. In league, there's different system, and so. But also the thing is, I would say in traditional sport is that you tend to find, or you tend to grow into that discipline because you are surrounded, and you go and you are physically with other persons and with your friends, athletes, coaches, etc. So it is kind of different when in traditional sport, when in the age of 16, 17, you already have a lot of values that you've taken from those systematic approach in sport. Whether in esports, it is a little bit more random, I would say.
You mentioned Crazy, and actually some players that were on Crazy and then ended up on G2. How did your cooperation with G2 started?
It started it was like a year ago. I was ending my contract with the Navi Valorant team, and Isma from G2 called me, texted me, and he was like, "Yeah, are you free agent? Can you look at your contract and everything? And would you be interested in maybe working with the CS team?" They had a couple of other names as well, and I was like, yeah, sure. Back then in Crazy, it was only Hunter that I knew. Nexa came later, Nico I didn't know, and of course I knew Peca, our GM, so it was kind of easier to just go into that team, you know.
Can you walk us through LAN event, for example, I Am Clone that you own? How does it work on site, on field, when it's tournament, it's high stakes, best of 5 or something like that, grand finals?
Yeah. I Am Cologne was great, of course. We won it last year, and it was last CSGO Cologne event, so it was pretty crazy. Fun fact was that we started working maybe a couple of weeks before I Am Cologne, and that was my first LAN event with them. So we still needed to kind of get to know each other and how to work along. And it just seemed to me that guys need a little bit more structure, a little bit more discipline within certain things. They already worked with a couple of mental coaches, I believe they were. So they had some knowledge, but also with the former mental coach, they weren't that much satisfied. So I knew that I needed to make an influence and to make certain changes. So I tried to as soon as I came there, I tried to have one-on-one sessions with all of the players and the former head coach. Then pretty much, maybe not every day, but every second, every third day, we had some group workshops, group sessions. Every day, and literally every day we had staff meetings where we wrote things down, where we agreed upon the goals for tomorrow. That was for Cologne, because I also did not want to implement a lot of stuff, but we wanted to maybe just have 2-3 habits that we want to have and to keep throughout Cologne, because it's in the middle of the tournament. It's a big tournament for them, important for them, important for the organization, so you can't also implement too much stuff, you know. We had daily physical activities. We either played ping pong or we played a little bit of football as well. So yeah, that was.
Yeah, I mean,
after it was kind of different when we also progressed into.
Yeah, you seem pretty open and not assertive in a way. Do you feel like those one-on-ones and basically you connecting to the player means a lot to them and to give you some trust?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the basic of any change is if you have a good relationship, you know, if you can relate to a person, no matter if it's traditional sport or esport, if you can relate to that person good, then you can make a change, right? If the person trusts you, if the person knows that you're here to help for the best interest of him, her, and the team, then I believe it's much easier, you know?
I wanna highlight two players. I think they're like the most famous one. One is Nico, basically a guy that almost won everything, like
Almost, yeah.
almost, yeah. And the other one is Monesi. Basically, they call him Baby Goat or whatever. He joined at such a young age. What are the differences between those two players that are like similar in a way? They play at the highest performance. One is like OG veteran of the scene, and other one is just need to like kickstart his career and basically prove himself. Like let's talk maybe about burnout, maintaining high motivation, ego maybe, and I don't know, for Monesi maybe team communication, emotional control, or like pressure of performance, something like that.
A lot of topics. I would say that Nico and Ilya are pretty much same kind of personalities. They're both driven by results and by achieving greatness. Like you said, Nico unfortunately did not win the major, and I don't think that he's going to stop playing Counter-Strike until he wins it. And once I know, he told me when I win my first one, then I'm gonna win like 3-4 consecutive ones. I'm sure of that. And I was like, okay, let's just do it. Let's win first one together and then see from that. And for Ilya, I'm sure that he's going to be. I mean, he already is like really one of the best at this point, and in my eyes, he is the best. And I believe that he's going to prove this at the end of not this season, because the season is kind of ending for us now, but in a year he's for sure going to be number one. Regarding, I would say that he is also a very motivated person. His favorite book is from Kobe Bryant, Mamba Mentality, and this is like his Bible, so he really gets a lot of knowledge from that. And what I would also say is that he has this kind of attitude, you know, that I believe that he picked up from Kobe. Is that you just have to push, you just have to grind, but also not just that. You also have to take all those things that can help to improve your performance, like doing breathing, doing meditation. Setting goals, etc., having a really good internal speech, self-talk, you know, stuff like that. So I believe definitely that Ilya is on a good path, and I don't see him burning out or something like that. Also, I believe that he has a big area of improvement still. Although maybe people don't see it, but he's just 19 years old, you know, and I believe that he can grow into in some other areas like physical preparation, like nutrition, etc. You know, and I believe that with that he can be even better than he is now. Regarding Nico, I think that his drive is always going to be the same. To win it all, to be one of the best of all times, and again, I see him as a person who is always trying to find like 1-2% how to be better. And when I started working with G2, people generally ask questions about Nico, you know, because he's one of the most popular guys. And one of the usual question was, how is it to work with Nico? And I was like, it's easy. You know, he knows what he wants. And if he sees that you can give him 1-2% to come closer to that, then it's good. Then it's no problem, you know. If he doesn't see that, then it's GG, right?
Yeah. What's like on that note, what's the top 3 things you think any player that plays competitively or wants to be successful in esports can and should work on, even if he's not like on some good org, or like if he doesn't have mental coach like you or someone on his side?
Yeah, I believe like 3 things. Okay, 4 things. First First thing I would say, even if you're not on the great work, even if you don't have great conditions or stuff like that, you can do certain things that only you can influence, that only you control, right? So one thing is for all of the young guys or older guys that are trying to be competitive and that are trying to be professional, I would say that one of the things that is very important and that can influence everything else is like your sleep, your sleeping schedule. It's very basic, it's very normal, but the thing is, if you don't sleep good, and a lot of gamers don't sleep good, don't have great habits about that, everything is going to be messed up and you're not going to have the best reflexes, etc. I know that it's kind of tough and the schedule is always packed and you want to do different things to be better, but if you get a good night's sleep, and I'm not saying that you have to go to bed at 10 or 1, but just have a routine for that you get a good night's sleep. That's one thing. Second thing that I believe can support the first one is also to have at least kind of good nutrition, not to go hard on soft drinks that have a lot of caffeine, etc. Just to have a little bit of more balanced diet. You don't have to be vegan, you don't have to go like in traditional sport or stuff like that. Third thing, I would say definitely to try to control your emotions, to try to control your mindset a bit better. There's a multitude of things you can do, starting from the easiest, like doing some relaxation techniques or doing some meditation. 5-10 minutes a day can make a world of difference. And maybe the fourth thing is to try to do something physical. That again doesn't have to be for an hour a day or something like that. Take a walk, take a break after hour and a half, sitting down. Go take a jog. Somebody likes to go to the gym, somebody likes to play football, somebody just likes to take a walk. I would say maybe those 3-4 things are the things that you can control and that nobody can take away from you.
I completely agree. Thank you, Luka.
Thank you.
I hope we have time for a few questions.
I think we can squeeze in 1 or 2 quick questions if someone has. I think these tips were great, not only for professional players or esports players. Good sleep, good diet, and what was the last one? Exercise, right? Yeah. Okay, great takes. Okay, there's a question.
Okay, I have a question regarding some tough LAN or online situations. We all witnessed G2 against Vitality the other day, and it was a crazy game. What is your role when a team is losing a map or 2 maps? What is your role for uplifting their spirits? That can be a tough situation. It can even break your enthusiasm and cause a lot of stress. So I was wondering, what is your role regarding losing situation for a team on LAN or online?
Yeah, well, most of the time we play best of 3. So if we lose 2 maps, it's GG for us. But if we lose like a first map, or we win a first and lose a second map, we have 10-15 minutes break. So first of all, there isn't much things you can do. I believe that much of the work that I do is work behind the scene and work before we enter the scene, right? And this is why we have boot camps. This is why we have weekly workshops, one-on-one meetings, staff meetings, etc. So I would say that most of the job done is before the match even starts. But in those kind of situations, it is very important for us after we lose a map is just to refocus, and just to stop talking about the first map, because we tend to like to discuss what happened at the first map, who messed up something, whose fault was it, etc., etc. So we try to put an end to that and focus on the things that we need to do on the second map. Also, there also has to be a space for every individual on the team to do his own stuff. Somebody likes to go to the toilet and just freshen up a bit. Somebody likes to to breathe a little bit, to have a breather outside and have 1-2 minutes without anybody asking him anything. Somebody just plays with the ball. We always have either a frisbee or a ball or something that we try to do, and just to let go of our mind. And always we try to go outside somewhere. It's kind of a rule, to find some small space where we can breathe some fresh air and eat a banana or some candy or something like that, and just to come back. And in those 10-15 minutes, I maybe have like a couple of sentences with the boys, with the players, and of course with the coaches. And if there is something to be said, then that is the time. But most of those breaks are used for tactical part for the second map.
Thank you. We can prolong for a couple of more minutes, so if you have more questions, which I see here.
Hi, just a question. Who is it easier to work with, the traditional athletes or esports athletes? Just coming from the perspective that traditional sports has a long-standing system and esports is something relatively new.
I would say depends about the org, depends about the level of professionality. It's different when you work with a kid football player, handball player that is 14, 15, and when you work with somebody that is 25 in esports, right? So I would say it's just different environments and how to modify your work. For me, of course, 2/3 of my professional career, so 10 years I've been working with traditional sports. I have much more knowledge, much more clients that I had in traditional sports than in esports. But nevertheless, I would say, like I said before, in the end we come to the same things. And again, what is also good is that in some esports players tend to follow certain sports, so when I can connect certain things from traditional sports, then they also like that part.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay.
What's your take on social media during tournaments? Because it breeds a lot of negativity and can beat a player down if he has a bad game or something.
Yeah, I would say that in esports, community can be really toxic, and maybe even more toxic than traditional sports. To be honest, I did not have the opportunity to work with very young players that are still growing and still climbing up the ladder. So the esport athletes that I worked with were very professional, I would say, and in kind of big teams already. So I would say that most of them, they don't care that much. Most of them, they don't read the comments, or they just laugh to the comments. Recently we had Nexa that came, and he came instead of Justin, JKS, so I think that it's still trending, bring JKS back, and why did Nexa come, etc. And it's not just about that. It's about when we lose a match, some athletes or even our GM gets threats like kill yourself, I'm gonna kill this and that and that person, etc. And it's really, really rude sometimes. But then again, they realize that those kind of things are being written by kids 12, 13, maybe 15 years old, and that are just pissed because G2 lost, or maybe they bet some money on it, and etc. So I would say that most of them really don't read that. Of course, it's hard sometimes not to read the comments or the threads on HLTV or something like that, and but then again, you just have to have the perspective that they are on the top level, highest level, and the people that are writing those things are just never going to beat those.
Okay, I have one more question quickly. How hard are roster changes for you? Because let's say, for an example, you work with a roster for like a year, but then you have to introduce a new player who's gonna basically change one of the players. What is your take on that? What is your job at that point, and how hard is it for you based on like the past year of the work you've done?
Yeah. Good question. It is sometimes. Depends about how big roster changes are, and depends about how which positions are being changed. If you change an IGL, then definitely pretty much all the puzzles are going to change, right? Within your style of play, within the style of leadership, and everything else. And of course, if you change multiple players, then again, it's a bigger change, a bigger impact. I would say that it's important for the new players that are coming to just dive into a melting pot of this roster that is now in place, and it is important to try to accommodate them as soon as possible, to try to live up to our standards and our values and our discipline and our goals, etc. So it can be pretty hectic. It can be, but then again, a lot of persons have a take in who are we going to take, like GM, coach. Some players are being asked for their opinion. So when it goes through a couple of filters, then it's kind of easier. But then again, of course, you can make a mistake.